Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to 2022. I'm glad we're all here for hopefully a very green new year. I'm hoping that 2022 is the year that we all start to make a whole lot of money in the stock market. I really think it's possible with all the huge catalysts we've got coming up. I'm looking forward to 2022 hugely. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Silver, Sub-Zero, Rocky Mountain Gobblers, Squirrely B, Quaid, Shadow Girl, Greg Taylor. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the stream. And I do want to point out that we had the biggest pump of our lives last night. And look at it. Nobody's even looking at this news that came out just yesterday. Look at this. Biggest pump of our lives right here. 9,000 subscribers on the channel. So thank you guys very much. I really appreciate it. Y'all are amazing. I love doing these streams in the morning. It's super fun. Just talking stocks for an hour and a half. I love it. So thank you guys very much. Biggest pump of our lives right here to start the new year off right. 9,000 subscribers exactly. So that's amazing. Thank you guys for being here. So good morning, Stand Up, and good morning, Lost, Pennsylvania, and Maddox. Good morning, everybody showing up. That's awesome. So here we go. We are actually looking at a couple of key things that happened today. So just earlier in the pre-market, we had two big pumps. It wasn't the channel pump, though, right? We actually had three if you count the channel pumping up, but we actually have NAKD moving up. So we closed 2021 around $5.35, and we were up to $6.65 in the pre-market. So if you look at the percentage gain on that, it's pretty significant. It's about 24% during the pre-market that we made it up. Now we're down to only up around 4%. Unfortunately, we did end up giving back most of those gains, but you never know. There is some volatility going on with NAKD there officially. If you guys have not yet noticed, they are officially named Cenntro Electric Group now. So if you look at their ticker symbol, it's still NAKD. But if you look at their name on Thinkorswim, it's actually Cenntro Electric Group. So they've officially changed their name over. Very cool stuff. And we're also going to take a quick peek at the other chart right here, Tesla. Tesla pumped up big in the pre-market. They moved up. Let's see what the percentage gain was on it. But they closed 2021 around 1054. Now they're around 1132. So that's about a 7% gain on Tesla. And this is actually on their Q4 delivery numbers, which I think we have somewhere. I think I got rid of them, actually. But Tesla also got some price target updates from JP Morgan. JP Morgan used to have a $250 price target on Tesla, and they bumped it up to $295. So all in all, not that big of a price target for Tesla from JP Morgan. They still think that Tesla's not going to do too good, apparently. They think Tesla's going to drop maybe 70% with that price target, but interesting stuff to see. And we have another price target update. Let's see where it was. So Deutsche Bank, I think it might be, raised Tesla's price target from 1,000 to 1,200. So Tesla still has some room to grow, according to Dutch Bank, or however you say it. I'm not quite sure. But Misam Rizvi asks, did the merger happen between Sundial? Not yet. That is, I think the meeting is scheduled for January 7th. So we've still got a couple of days before that meeting, and we still have 2 days that people can mail in their votes. If you're an Alcana shareholder, you can mail in your votes, potentially vote yes for the Sundial-Alcana merger. So we're still waiting on that. That should be happening. The meeting should be happening later this week on the 7th. We've got quite a few interesting economic events going down this week. We don't have any happening today, unfortunately, but on Tuesday, we've got the manufacturing PMI. On Wednesday, we have crude oil inventories and a Fed meeting. On Thursday, we've got initial jobless claims, and on Friday, we have unemployment rate coming out. So cool stuff all around. The markets are looking fairly green. If we take a peek, we'll move SPY up here real quick. We'll move it up. And it looks like SPY saw a little bit of a pump pre-market. It actually saw a dip right before the year ended. So if you look at the year end, you'll see SPY started dipping right before the year ended. Fortunately, that did not continue, although we are now seeing a little bit of a dip. Unfortunately, we're seeing a little bit of a move down on SPY. I'm not loving it, but all in all, that's okay. I'm not too worried about SPY. And you know what, guys? I will have to be right back. One quick second. Of course, I've forgotten to... Oh, there we go. Wrong camera right there. I'll be right back, though. One second. Okay, we are back and in a more comfortable shirt. That other shirt was getting way too hot. I was told there would be snow today. There was no snow. In fact, it's pretty hot inside, so I changed shirts real quick. But apparently it's Deutsche Bank. So Deutsche Bank upgraded their price target on Tesla from 1,000 to 1,200, and it looks like Tesla, honestly, at this rate, might hit it, right? They're already up 7% just in the pre-market. We haven't gotten to any real volume today, and they're already doing a bit better than the S&P. If you look, Tesla is starting to move up a little bit over the past couple of minutes, and the S&P is actually moving down. So we'll see what happens with Tesla. It could be a good day for them, but NAKD is actually where I wanted to put a decent amount of my attention on today, because NAKD has been pumping up. They officially changed their name to Cenntro Electric Group. So we're potentially looking at a good situation for them. As more people learn about this company, I think that more people could be inspired to invest in them, just considering what they've got going for them over the long term. And we've talked about it a lot on this channel. The electric vehicle projections that they have, the delivery numbers that they're looking at, those are looking like they could make a great 2022 for NAKD stock. And I'll actually try to pull up some of the numbers. So let's see what we've got. We've got a couple of, here we go. So they first delivered 628 electric vehicles the last month of the year. They finally produced a record number of vehicles, 628 in December 2021, the highest volume in a single month to date of their LV, I think they're Logistar 200s. I think they might call them what? LV, where is it? They've got an abbreviation, an LS 200. There we go. So those are basically just some commercial electric vehicles that they made specifically for Europe, because Europe has very thin streets. They made them for European markets, and they delivered a record number of them at the end of 2021. So we're actually keeping on track for their goal of delivering 20,000 vehicles in 2022, which will massively grow their revenue, because in 2021, they were projected to only have 1,500 vehicle deliveries. So they're going from 1,500 deliveries to 20,000. And then in 2023, let's see if I can pull that up somewhere. Hopefully I can find it again. It came out a bit ago, but they were projected to, I think, deliver, well, a lot more. They were definitely expected to get a lot more income, but let's see if we can't find, no, not the Japan news, but I'll pull that up too. They also got an order for 2,000 vehicles for Japan, and end customers include Amazon, so that's exciting stuff. Maybe Amazon will start using them in the US if that Japan delivery goes well. But let's see if we can't find this news over here. This might be it right here. Okay, here we go. So this is what really excites me about NAKD stock. So they were expected to have $25 million of revenue in 2021, $506 million in 2022, and $2.1 billion in 2023. So they are expected to grow rapidly. I think that they're going to do incredibly well, especially considering the fact that they have been keeping on track with their vehicle deliveries, right? They're expected to deliver 21,500 vehicles in 2022, and they are well on their way to doing it. In fact, in December, they already delivered an extra 628 that we were not expecting. That was really good news for them. So all in all, NAKD, or Cenntro Electric Group, is looking pretty good to me. So I'm not too worried about them, how they'll be performing over the long term, right? They're one that I'm just happy to be holding over the long term. I don't think that they're going to all of a sudden shoot up necessarily. I don't think that it will be a lot of those short squeeze stocks that we look at sometimes. I don't think it'll be like one of those, because in fact, I can pull up the short interest on NAKD, and they are not very shorted at all. In fact, there's a couple other stocks that I did want to pull up the short interest on, because there have been some interesting changes in them, but we'll pull up NAKD's short interest first. It is actually quite low at 2.59% of the free float. Hardly anybody is shorting this company, right? There's only 1.58 million shares short, so 2.59% of the free float, incredibly low. Not many people seem to think that this stock is going very far down, right? A lot of the shorts are not in this, right? The shorts don't think this one's crashing. They probably think it's moving up, because there's pretty much no shorts in this. There's only a couple million shares, less than 2 million shares short, so 1.5 million shares short on NAKD. I think the people realize it's growing rapidly, and they probably don't want to be shorting a growth EV stock. That has definitely not been kind of shorts in the past. Shorts used to be big on Tesla, and I think they learned their lesson from that. So I don't think they're going to be short in NAKD stock anytime soon. I think 2022 is probably going to be a pretty good year. 2023 could be an even better year if they get up to those revenue expectations of $2.1 billion in 2023. I think that they'll probably be moving up massively. So we're looking at a potential really good year for NAKD. Now, Tesla is also looking at a potential really good year. I mean, they're starting it off the right way for sure. I mean, it's awesome that they closed the year basically at their low of the day right there at $1,054. They closed it real close to that. Maybe it was $1,057 by the end of the day. But look at that. $1,057, they're already at $1,143. So already a decent gain on Tesla stock, potentially a 10% gain. Let's see what we've got here. So they're already up 8% on Tesla stock. Tesla's already up 8%. Let's see what they can do this year. I think that it could be a good one for Tesla too. I mean, every year has been a good year for Tesla over the past couple at least. So Tesla's been doing decently. I'm really excited for Sundial though. In fact, if you look at Sundial, you'll see that they had their own little move up. Barely anything though. It was basically just a cent and a half that they pumped up. They're not even up that much anymore. But I will point out that on Ortex, if you look at Sundial, if you look at the short interest, they are actually fairly low in short interest now. They've decreased a decent amount. They're still rather high, right? There's still many hundreds of millions of shares short on Sundial, but it's down to 262 million. So some shorts are leaving. In fact, if you look, we'll pull this up. We'll pull up the estimated short interest, and you can see that it's actually going down right here. It's this green line right here that is moving down over the past couple of weeks. So towards the end of December, people started exiting their short positions on Sundial. People maybe realized that cannabis legalization was looking like a distinct possibility. They didn't want to be in this cannabis stock that had pumped up massively in the past. They didn't want to get burnt on it. So some people are exiting their Sundial positions, and that's actually bringing us to lows, short interest-wise, for the past couple of months. I mean, we haven't been this low since August, it looks like. Since very early August, we haven't been this low. So we'll see if that continues, right? It's very possible that shorts will continue exiting, and that could open the way for Sundial to start moving up in price now that those shorts don't have a vested interest in keeping Sundial down. And as they cover, we may end up seeing Sundial move up in price naturally due to the buying pressure that they're creating. So we've also got a couple people coming into the chat. So we've got, let's see, Worlza Rizvi, Christopher Frank, Mercenary SWAT, and Worlza. I have to point out that Safe Moon has been doing incredibly well. It's up to, I mean, what? I had $50 initially, thanks to you, and now it's up to, let's see what it is now. It's up to $72. So almost a 50% gain on that Safe Moon, unless it was the B&B that went up, but I think it was the Safe Moon. I'll take a peek, actually. Let's see, Safe Moon right here. We've got it over the past, yeah, so look at that. I'll pull up the Safe Moon chart right here, but it looks like we did have a decent gain. So it was at 0.16 cents, and now it's at 0.28 cents. So big gain on Safe Moon over the past 7 days. I'm happy that Worlza passed me some before then, so I really appreciate that, Worlza. That was amazing. Loved seeing Safe Moon go up. And did I ever put the cam back on? Good, I did. Awesome. So I'm happy to see that. It looks like Safe Moon's been doing incredibly well. And my favorite part about Safe Moon is that the longer you hold, the more you get. They basically just, every time somebody sells some, they split up some of what they sell. I think they take a little tax, and they split it up across whoever's holding Safe Moon. That's why it's called Safe Moon, because they think it's a safe bet to make that it's going to the moon if you hold over the long term. So we'll see if that ends up being the case. We'll see. So Worlza says, Times Square has Safe Moon billboard above the Express store 3 times an hour for 1 year. Interesting. So they have a Safe Moon billboard above. Interesting. Interesting. So Mark also says, hi Rob, can you give us advice on the new LGB coin? The NASCAR driver that helped start the phrase was almost canceled, but is now sponsored by the LGB coin. I've not heard of this coin. Maybe I have heard of it. Maybe someone said something about it. But let's see what this coin is all about. So it's a pretty cheap coin at the moment. What's the market cap on it? About 300 million at the moment. But maybe 400 million actually, since it's the coin market cap team has not verified the project's market cap. However, according to the project, it's self-reported. It's Okay. So it should be around 400 million fully diluted. Interesting. It looks like it had a decent pump up during the new year, actually. So interesting to see. I can't say too much about this one. I haven't heard of it until too recently. I don't think. It looks like it started back in November, though. November 9th was the first day of trading on this coin. So that's interesting to see. I didn't know that this was, I don't know where you can buy it or whatnot, but that's an interesting coin to say the least. I mean, it has been moving up decently, so it could be a good one. Who knows? I would have thought that that when Biden said it himself, it would have pumped up a little bit more. In fact, maybe it did. Maybe that was here when Biden said it himself. I don't know. But that's an interesting one. I don't know. I don't have too many comments on that one. I'm not sure YouTube would like me commenting too much on it, but let's see. So Heckler Kosh asks about the short interest on DWAC. We'll definitely take a look at that. So let's take a peek at DWAC, short interest. Let's see, Digital World. Not much has changed with this one, honestly. If we take a look at the chart, I'll pull it up right here, right over Sundial. It looks like we haven't had too much action over the past couple of weeks. We've basically just been sticking in between 50 and 55, so it's been pretty stagnant, but better than that. Better that it stays stagnant than it falls. Right, so the short interest, let's see. Short interest is currently sitting at 12.63%. So 3.79 million shares. Let me pull it up on the screen, though. So 3.79 million shares are short on DWAC, 12.63% of the free float, and it's down 0.07% today, so barely any change. But interesting stuff, nevertheless. So it's about a 12% short interest. But we do have something that probably should be short that we're about to talk about right here. Evergrande. China's Evergrande shares were just halted and are set to release inside information later today. So that's interesting to hear, right? This is an interesting story that I had pulled up. I was reading a bit about, and basically I'll give you the gist. So shares have been suspended from trading on Monday pending the release of inside information. And for those of you who don't know what Evergrande is basically the largest, at least it was, the largest retail property developer in the world, at least in China. And they essentially had taken out a bunch of debts to maintain their growth. And at a certain point, the market slowed down. They were unable to meet some of their debts. And word got out that they really couldn't meet a lot of their obligations. They've missed some payments so far. They've missed, I think, or they have about $300 billion in debt. So we'll continue with this story because they actually explain it somewhat decently. But they explain that Evergrande, the world's most indebted developer, is struggling to repay more than $300 billion in liabilities and debts, including nearly $20 billion of international market bonds that were deemed to be in cross default. And the property developer also missed new coupon payments worth $255 million due last Tuesday, though they have a 30-day grace period, it looks like. So maybe they'll be able to make those payments. Who knows? But they are... I believe they were officially in default at one point. They've missed a couple of payments. And overall, this isn't great for China, right? Because it's China's biggest property developer, and they're down pretty big. In fact, they fell quite a bit last year. It looks like they shed 89% of their price, closing at $1.59 on Friday. So overall, really horrible story for anyone who was invested in them over the course of last year, because it hit hard when they started falling, when people realized that this company was potentially going bankrupt. Man, their stock price plummeted. So people are down big if they were holding Evergrande. But I will point out there is an interesting little tidbit of this story. So let's see. Local media reported. Here's something that's just kind of funny. Local media reported over the weekend that a city government in the Chinese resort island of Hainan ordered Evergrande on December 30th to demolish 39 residential buildings within 10 days due to illegal construction. So they're already massively in debt. And the last thing they want is to destroy 39 of their existing buildings and pay for all that demolition due to the illegal construction that went on. I mean, the buildings stretched for over 435,000 square meters. So absolutely massive hit to Evergrande. I can't imagine they're going to be coming through this in a good way. It's probably not going to look too pretty for Evergrande the rest of this year. In fact, they're probably going to go bankrupt if they haven't already officially declared it. I mean, that's potentially what the inside information is. So it's all in all not looking good whatsoever for Evergrande. They're probably going to be falling quite a bit, but we'll see what happens. So Sub-Zero says, buy AMC. You're at 60 shares. I think I might be at 70 shares. Let's see. Let's see what my AMC position's at right now. But yeah, we'll definitely be buying as soon as the market opens 10 more AMC. So let's see. Where is it? Where is the AMC hiding? There it is. So it is 70 shares at the moment. Look right here. We've got it. We'll buy more, of course, at the market open. But we do have 70 shares. So look at that right there. 70 shares. But we'll be buying a couple more. I'm looking to get up to 100 at least. And hopefully, we'll be getting it a little bit cheaper, right? I'd like it to move down potentially to below 25. That would be nice. Niner Zulu NJ does not like AMC, though. That's true. I agree with you, Niner. There are no fundamentals on AMC. That doesn't mean it can't pump up, as we saw around, what was it, June of this year and January of, I can't say of this year anymore, of last year. And Niner, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. DWAC and Sundial. That is what we've got. We've got DWAC up here. Unfortunately, well, actually, I will point out my DWAC trade I'm quite excited about. So DWAC, it does not bother me in the slightest that it's just sitting between 50 and 55 because my position in DWAC, let me just turn on Do Not Disturb for a minute. My position on DWAC, let's move down to it wherever it is hiding. But basically, my position is these two put contracts. So right here, we've got these two put contracts that I've sold. So essentially, it's a long position, right? It's basically betting that DWAC won't go below $50. And I make my full profit as long as DWAC stays above $50. So that's what I'm looking forward to. It looks like it's pretty much stayed above $50 for the most part. I mean, there were a couple of times that it dipped down a little bit, but barely at all, barely below $50, never really breaking too far below 48, and always very quickly rebounding. So I'll make my full profit as long as DWAC stays above $50 over the course of the next year, just about. The strike date on this is January 20th of 2023, so I am looking forward to that happening. I don't think that DWAC will fall all that much, but the thing about this trade is I don't even start losing money until DWAC gets to $15.75. So all in all, it's a pretty good trade that I am very excited about. It's a very high probability of success trade, in my opinion. But let's see. Let's get rid of Tesla. Let's pull up Sundial and NAKD. NAKD could be having a decent day. I pulled up the Google Trends data earlier today to see what might be going on with it. Unfortunately, it hasn't had too much great Google Trends data. This is a search for NAKD stock, and obviously we're not beating out Thursday, but I think we might be matching what we got on Friday. No, just barely below. So we'll see what we can get. If we do get NAKD moving up, then we might see something good. They are on the most active right here. They're the number 5 most active, right below Bitcoin. So that's good to see, but over the weekend, it was New Year's weekend. Not a lot of people were probably on this StockTwits forum. In fact, you can tell that there weren't many people because the counts of mentions are very low. Tesla is actually the number 1 most active stock on StockTwits with just about 4,500 mentions on StockTwits, right above AMC and SPY and even Bitcoin, which I would have thought would be a little bit higher over the weekend. Though I will point out, not much has been happening in the crypto markets. Aside from SafeMoon pumping up about 25, 30, 40, 50%. Not much has been happening in the crypto markets over the new year, right? So not many people have been getting in to Bitcoin. It looks like it's been pretty darn stagnant over the past day. Over the past 6 or so days, it's been pretty stagnant also, just basically sitting around 46 to 47, maybe even $48,000 at times, but basically just being pretty stagnant. So, when this ends up breaking to one side or the other, we could see a pretty sustained movement in that direction. It's looking like it's deciding which way it wants to go just temporarily right now. But, hopefully it's to the upside, because I know a lot of people were betting big on Bitcoin. I know a lot of people were saying Bitcoin 100,000 by the end of the year. That obviously didn't happen. I wasn't too keen on that. I didn't really expect that to happen. I thought it sounded a little bit far-fetched when I would hear people saying it. But, some people, people know more about Bitcoin than me. Maybe they knew what they were talking about. But it looks like we're ending the year just shy of that. We're around, let's see what we ended the year on the past 7 days. We ended the year right at 46,700. Look at that. So, yeah, $46,778.80 is where we ended the year on Bitcoin. Hopefully, we'll get to 100K this year, right? People are saying if we get the Bitcoin spot ETF, then that's what could take us to 100K on Bitcoin. And I could potentially see that happening, right? If there is an ETF that people can buy into, that index funds and whatnot can buy into, and hedge funds can buy into, then sure, maybe we could see Bitcoin moving up quite a bit. But we have to see that regulation actually get passed. I don't believe it's happened yet because I don't know if it's quite legal. But we'll see. So it's possible. Ethereum, not doing great either, right? Ethereum, I'm a little bit more bullish on for the fundamentals of Ethereum just because it seems to be a bit more useful for doing transactions online. Bitcoin wasn't necessarily designed in the best way to do those transactions, right? As soon as Bitcoin came out, we started learning a lot about cryptocurrency since Bitcoin was the first, and Ethereum was made on potentially much better code. I don't know exactly what the process for making a crypto is, but it's my understanding that Ethereum has been a bit better developed. It's been made a little bit more useful. There's a little bit more utility in Ethereum. So I think that Ethereum could be doing potentially better. It looks like it moved up more than Bitcoin. It 3.8x'd over the course of 2021. And let's see what Bitcoin did over the course of 2021. I'm sure Bitcoin did incredibly well, but it gained about 50%. So Ethereum's been doing a little bit better than Bitcoin. If I had to bet on one and one alone, I would bet that Ethereum's going to be the one doing well. But I do have some of both because you never know. It could be Bitcoin, it could be Ethereum. Both of them will probably do decently, but we'll see. So Stand Up says, Sundial, can we hit 64 cents today? I sure hope we can. Let's pull up the Sundial chart. It looks like we're just below 60. So I would like us to break 60 first. It looks like we have been, unfortunately, on Sundial in this downtrend. Ever since we hit 69 cents, we just kept getting pushed down. And the most recent instance of that was actually on Friday. Right as the market closed, we moved down even lower to 57 cents. But now we're actually potentially ending that. 2022 could be a great year for Sundial, I think. And potentially this will be the beginning of a nice little uptrend that we're on. We'll see what happens, though. We've got the market open coming in 7 seconds. So let's see what happens when the market opens on Sundial. In fact, let's move Sundial right here. We'll swap DWAC and Sundial. Sundial right there. Hopefully we'll get there in time for the market open. And we missed it by a couple seconds. But there we go. So let's see what goes on with that. We'll move DWAC right here. DWAC should be doing good. Like I said, as long as it doesn't drop below 50, we're looking pretty good on DWAC. Looks like Sundial is potentially going to be a little bullish today. It looks like we're getting a decent green candle right here. 500,000 shares trading so far. So let's see what we get with that. NAKD seeing a little bit of the opposite, a little bit negative. And SPY is seeing some green also. So everything except NAKD. Yep, even NAKD is seeing some green. Let's see if we can't get all green bars on the first minute of 2021, or 2022, I should say. All three of these stocks, let's see if we can get there. DWAC is a little red. Sundial has been holding fairly strong this whole time. We haven't seen any red on Sundial yet. They have no wick at the bottom, so we haven't seen a red bar on Sundial yet. We only have to hold for another 3 seconds. I think we can do it. So there we go. We're seeing some green on Sundial, SPY, and DWAC. NAKD is the only one that was not green for the first minute of 2022. Understandable. That's okay. They were in a little bit of this downtrend right here. They're still up on the day from where they closed. I'm not going to complain. It looks like Sundial's continuing to move up, blowing that previous bar out of the water with this bar, almost up to 60 cents, almost moving up an entire cent on this bar. Let's see if they can. It's only halfway through the minute, too, so maybe they can get there. And it looks like the SPY is doing pretty decently also. So it looks like people are, overall, pretty bullish on 2022. 2022 is looking to be a pretty good year from where I'm sitting. I'm quite excited for a lot of these stocks. And, Sundial just erased those gains. Look at that. Still green, but just erased. Wow, it's really bouncing around here. So we'll see where it ends up. But let's pull up the most trending stocks just to see what's going on. So we'll briefly cover up the screen with these top trending stocks, and we have a list of 10. One is Tesla, then NIO, then Twitter. So it looks like EVs are actually some top trenders, and unfortunately, NAKD is not one of the top trenders. It is the most active. It's one of the most active there. And NAKD, they need to update their name on StockTwits. They're still going as Naked Brand Group on StockTwits, but if you've looked at TD Ameritrade, you'll notice that they're actually cenntro Electric Group. So they need to update that StockTwits name, but we'll see. It looks like a lot of the EV companies are doing decently. A lot of them are green, NAKD included. It is green from where it closed, but hopefully it will become green from where it opened the day with. That would be nice to see. So far, we've gotten 3 red bars on NAKD. Not my favorite, I have to admit, but overall, it could be worse. It could be worse. We could be red on the day. It looks like we might actually get red on the day. We're only up less than 1% on NAKD, but Sundial keeps blowing us away with these big green bars. It looks like we're getting some big buying pressure for Sundial. Let's see what's going on short interest-wise on Sundial. I know we looked at it earlier, but it might have changed. Let's see. So it looks like we have a slight decrease on the day. I don't remember exactly what it was before, but looks like we have a slight decrease on the day, short interest-wise, minus 0.08% short interest change-wise. So Sundial is getting a couple shorts pushed out of it. Some shorts are deciding to exit on the, not the first of the year, but the first trading day of the year. So I am excited for Sundial. We're up 4% on the day already. Let's see what we got going on over here. Let's see. So, Sundial, not disappointing, that's for sure. SPY doing pretty decently also. Not much going on with NAKD. It's just kind of bouncing around, unfortunately. DWAC, we're seeing a little bit of green, so you can't complain about that. Like I said, anything above $50. And Vivi, good morning. Welcome to 2022. Welcome to the stream. It's good to see you, man. I am definitely excited for 2022. In fact, if 2022 goes like how the first couple of minutes of the day are going, I think we're going to see a really great year. Sundial is up decently. We're up 3.5% on Sundial. I'm excited to see it. A lot of these stocks that we're looking at, a lot of stocks are up actually. Tesla's up massively. We'll pull up Tesla right over NAKD, which is actually turning green, right? They're actually starting to be green from their open. So look at that. NAKD just did a 180, started moving up. We'll pull up Tesla over NAKD really briefly, because I am curious to see what the heck Tesla has going on with it. It has managed to stay pretty stagnant, actually, since it opened. It looks like they had one last run up in the pre-market, and then they've just been stagnating, so that's interesting to see. But overall, it looks like Sundial is actually the best performer we've got, other than Tesla, of course. Tesla came out with those analyst upgrades and good delivery numbers, so all in all, Tesla's doing pretty good. Let's see what CNBC has to say about it. Stocks rise slightly in the first trading day of 2022. Dow adds 75 points. So that's good to hear. Stocks rose sharply on Monday as investors showed hope about the economy's ability to overcome the surge in COVID cases and focused on progress from the nation's automakers. So that actually is something that I would like to check out. I would like to see the CDC data, because last we checked, we were at record highs for cases in the United States. It was actually quite scary. Not necessarily total cases, but at least for new cases. So let's see if they've updated the data recently. It looks like, boy, oh boy, this moving average just keeps moving up. So they don't have data for the past couple of days, which is surprising. And, we probably aren't going to have great data coming out the next couple of days. But look at this. I will zoom out just to show you guys what this actually looks like. But here's the COVID case counts that we've got on the screen right here. It looks like we are at record highs. We had a new record for new cases on December 29th. And, I have some worries about these case counts that could be going up pretty significantly come the next couple of days, right? Once we start getting 2022 data, I think that the first couple days of 2022 could actually be horrific case count-wise, right? I think that there's a distinct possibility that a lot of people were out on New Year's, that a lot of people were out partying in bars and parties and whatnot, and there was potentially a lot of spreading going on, right? I mean, obviously, right after Christmas, we got a decent surge in cases, but Christmas is more so, families hanging out in houses. New Year's is people going out to big venues and potentially all breathing on each other and spreading this stuff. So it's quite possible that we will see over the next couple of days a real surge in these case counts. Now, obviously, we'll also take a look at the deaths, right? Because the deaths are not actually that bad compared to the case counts. We're not at record high deaths, very fortunately for us. In fact, if you look over here, you'll see that the deaths are overall pretty low, right? We're not even in like the top 3 peaks for deaths. So we've actually been declining over the past couple of days, which is good because we've been rising quite dramatically with case counts. So overall, it's looking like we're not in the worst of situations, but there certainly are quite a few cases going around. Not the best to see. Obviously, sometimes people get scared out of the markets when they see these case counts rising. That's happened a couple of times. It's never been the most long-term impact on the market. We've never seen the markets really sustain a crash because of it. The government has made sure that we just keep printing money and injecting it into the economy. However, with the with the new threat of inflation that the Fed seems to realize is a distinct possibility for 2022. They realize that there is the chance that inflation will be far worse than they were thinking. They have started to cut back a little bit on their bond buying. They've started to taper their bond purchases, and they're talking about interest rate hikes. I believe last I heard they were toying with the idea of doing 3 interest rate hikes in 2022. So obviously by 25 base points each. So we'd get up to maybe a 0.75% interest rate by the end of 2022. So all in all, not that much, but still more than nothing, right? We've basically had no interest for the past year and a half. Or let's actually just check what the interest rates are. Let's see what the interest rates are. We can just pull it up, I think. No, we want a chart right here. Okay, so look at the federal funds effective rate and how low it's been over the past couple of decades, right? We had peak rates in the 80s. We had towards the beginning of the 80s, we got up to interest rates sometimes close to 20%. And we started tracking this in 1955. We had relatively low interest rates. Sometimes, they would be 3 or 4%. And, in 2007, we had like a 5% interest rate. Then we hit the Great Recession. Everything crashed down to zero, basically. We had basically a 0% interest rate. It was effectively nothing. And then we started raising it. We got up to 2.5% in 2019. And then it looks like COVID hit. We moved down a little bit before COVID. Then COVID hit, and we just crashed down to 0. So that's where we've been for the past while, basically 0, 0.09, 0.07, 0.08, basically no interest being collected. So all in all, it's a pretty scary situation. We're talking about maybe by the end of the year being able to get up to 0.75%, and that's if we end up doing it, right? It has not happened yet. It's not a guarantee that we'll end up getting there, but it's scary to see, right? It could end up hurting some stocks. It could end up hurting the market a little bit. I know that towards the end of 2018, the market started to see some pain when we started raising the interest rates. So we'll see if that ends up happening in 2022. Hopefully not. Hopefully not for most of these stocks that we're watching. It's possible that the S&P could take a little bit of a dip. But I think that some of these other stocks, particularly Sundial, have other catalysts that aren't too connected to interest rates, right? Regardless of where interest rates go, I think we could see legalization going on for Sundial. So that would actually be the catalyst, the main catalyst pumping them up. We've also got their share buyback that they still need to do. And in just a couple of days, the Alcana merger should be coming up. So I'm really looking forward to Sundial over the next couple of weeks and months. I think that, obviously Congress moves slowly, so they are not going to be quick to legalize, but it could happen. There's a real possibility that it happens before the elections this year, right? I think that the elections are potentially going to be a time that a lot of politicians are trying to garner a lot of support from the population, and one way they could do that, now that Republicans are trying to get legalization through the House, Democrats are going to be facing some pressure. If they're the ones holding that bill back, if they're the ones not voting to legalize, that could be very bad for Democrats. And if Republicans don't vote yes, then that could be very bad for them not sticking with the party. So we'll see what happens. All in all, pretty much everybody knows that that legalization is a widely wanted law, right? Everybody pretty much knows that when the polls are run, pretty much everybody votes for legalization, at least the vast majority of people, depending on your state. There are some states where it's pretty close, but in pretty much every state, the vote is, when given to the population, to legalize. So I think that politicians are going to realize that, and we're probably going to see it happen this year. Since we have those midterm elections coming up, it will be relatively important to hold on to the House. Let's actually look at the House. Let's look at the Congress breakdown. Let's see. Let's see if we can't get a chart of it. That would be nice. I don't know if we're going to be able to find a chart. Sometimes you can find a little a picture of their seats and whatnot, but let's just pull it up here. So in the House, the 117th Congress, we have 213 Republicans, 221 Democrats, and 1 vacancy. So I'm not sure who the vacancy is for. Oh, it looks like a Democrat from Florida who died in early 2021, and they have not replaced them. Okay, so it'll be tough. I mean, it's a really close call. It'll be very tough to see. I mean, maybe the Democrats will hold on to it. Maybe the Republicans will be able to take it. It's very possible the Republicans could take it, especially since they're the ones who are actually pushing forward on this legalization issue. I think that'll definitely get them a decent amount of support at least. So we'll see what happens. But someone's making a good point. Vivi is making a very good point. We're at 84 viewers and at 36 likes, so maybe we could get to 50 likes if everybody helps out, hits the like button. That would be much appreciated. I would love to see it, so thank you guys very much if you wanted to do that. I would love to see us get up to 50 likes. We're getting close. We're at 36 right now, so we're only about 14 away. We would not need to move up that much. But Tesla is officially up 10% from their close. So Tesla's been doing incredibly well. They've just been moving up over the course of the day, despite the almost sarcastic price target upgrade from JP Morgan. I mean, look at this. Let's find it right here. JP Morgan, where did their price target go? So let's see. We had it not too long ago. Here we go. So Tesla's stock price target raised from $250 to $295 at JP Morgan. So JP Morgan is very bearish on Tesla, apparently. Even with raising their price target to $295, they still are estimating about a 70% downside in Tesla stock. So crazy to see that they even bothered updating their price target from $250 to $295. I mean, pretty much all the other firms are keeping a pretty high price target on Tesla. I'll point out a couple of the others. We've got Deutsche Bank upgrading their price target from $1,000 to $1,200. We've got KGI adjusting their price target from $1,000 to $1,480. And we've got Tudor adjusting their price target from $630 to $668. So also a little bit low, but they kept their sell rating, so they expect Tesla will fall a bit. And RBC Capital maintains their price target on Tesla, raises it to $1,005. So all in all, a decent amount of the firms are expecting Tesla to continue doing pretty good. They're expecting them to continue rising. But JP Morgan is almost just sarcastically raising their price target to $295. I'm not sure why they even bothered with it, but apparently JP Morgan does not think very highly of Elon Musk. They don't think Tesla's going anywhere in the future. They think it's going down into the dirt, but I don't think that's the case. I think Tesla has enough of a following so that we saw, even when Elon Musk, the biggest Tesla shareholder, over the course of last year, sold 10% of his stock. I mean, we're still close to all-time highs. In fact, we are only down from the all-time highs today, where we are now. We're only down, let's see where we're at. We're only down 6% from the all-time highs, even though Elon Musk, the biggest shareholder in Tesla, sold 10% of his stock. So all in all, Tesla has proven time and time again that it can continue doing well, that it can continue outperforming the market. And we've seen it already. I mean, if you were holding Tesla at the end of 2022, if you bought into, if you were holding Tesla, if you bought in at the end of 2021, you'd already be up 10% over the course of the year. I mean, that's basically a whole stock market's year worth of gains. That's what you get in the S&P 500 over the course of a year typically. So you could sell out now. I mean, they've already made all the gains that the S&P is expected to get this year in what has it been 17 minutes of the market being open. That's what Tesla's done. So I think that they've probably got a pretty bright year ahead of them, especially considering the fact the S&P looks like it's taken a little bit of a dump. We're making lows of day. We're down to the 475. So the S&P is actually taking a little bit of a dump. I wonder if something happened. Oh. So Biden just tweeted, right now, 400,000 schools and childcare centers are at risk of exposure to lead in their waters. It's unacceptable. We're replacing 100% of the nation's lead pipes. Wow. So that, I mean, hey, if we want to upgrade the infrastructure, it sounds good. I mean, we've already passed that infrastructure bill. You know, the pipes are one of the things that I think we should be spending some money on. Honestly, I'd rather us not have lead in the water. I know that my water it's not sketchy per se, but some people say there's a weird taste in it when they drink it, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I mean, that's what I use to make this tea. I don't think there's anything wrong with the water personally, but some people have said there's a weird taste. So, you know, I'd be happy if they replace some of my pipes. I wouldn't mind that, but it's good to hear that the school children will be safe at least. It's too bad that we've had lead pipes for so long and nobody's replaced them until now. I mean, it's a little scary, but oh well. It looks like Sundial took a little bit of a dip below 60 cents. We were holding there for a little bit over the past couple of minutes, though. Unfortunately, we have been moving down just a touch. We haven't quite been able to maintain 60 cents. I think we could get back up there, hopefully. And C Cargo says they did not pass the Build Back Better bill. Yeah, that's right. They did not pass the Build Back Better bill, but they did pass the infrastructure bill. So the infrastructure bill and the Build Back Better bill are different things. The infrastructure bill is hard infrastructure, right? Like pipes, solar panels, roads, all that. In fact, we can pull up. We can pull up what's in the infrastructure bill right here. So let's see. Here we go. We'll get a little breakdown of what's in the bill, and CNN needs to stop with their ads. But it was a $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill, and this was signed into law a bit ago. This happened on November 15th, so about a month and a half ago, this got signed into law. And it has, first off, funding for roads and bridges. So $110 billion for roads, bridges, major infrastructure projects. And that's less than the $159 billion that Biden wanted, but so be it. It also has $39 billion to modernize public transit. So potentially trains, buses, who knows what else. Not nearly as much as, once again, as much as Biden wanted. He wanted $85 billion. So understandable. It's a little bit low. Broadband will be getting an upgrade. $65 billion will be spent improving the nation's broadband infrastructure. That's good to see. $17 billion will upgrade airports, regular ports, for boats and waterways. $25 billion for airports, $17 billion for ports. So interesting stuff. Electric vehicles, $7.5 billion for looks like tax credits. $7.5 billion for zero and low emission buses and ferries. Okay. So that's not the tax credits, but let's see. Another $7.5 billion will go to building the nationwide EV charging stations. All right. The package will invest $65 billion to rebuild the electric grid. Okay. I wouldn't mind having a better electric grid. Sometimes it goes down. $55 billion upgrades water infrastructure. So that's the pipes that Biden's talking about. The lead pipes getting replaced. Yeah, look at that. It says it will replace lead service lines and pipes so that communities have access to clean drinking water. And another $50 billion will go towards making the system more resilient, protecting our water infrastructure from drought, floods, and cyber attacks, the White House said. Oh, so that's good stuff. So maybe that'll also protect the electrical grid from droughts and floods. And environmental remediation. So we'll be improving the environment with this bill too. $21 billion to clean up Superfund and brownfield sites and reclaim abandoned mined land and cap orphaned gas wells. Are orphaned? Let me check this out and make sure that orphaned gas wells are what I think they are. So let's see. So-called orphaned gas wells. Let's see. Are a growing problem for states. And this is an article from 2018. We'll pull this up. But I'm pretty sure orphaned gas wells. I mean, if I'm understanding it right, they would just be gas wells that somebody left and are spewing out gas. Interesting. So yeah, so-called orphan oil and gas wells, which have been abandoned by defunct companies that cannot pay to plug them, are a growing problem in many states thanks to a recent slump in energy prices that have forced marginal operators out of business. So that's interesting. I mean, oil and gas are getting pretty expensive at this point, so it would not surprise me to see potentially more of those gas wells not getting plugged, but actually getting used. I would expect that they'd probably, instead of just capping and getting rid of these gas wells, they maybe want to build something on top of them and start extracting the oil and the gas and use it to generate electricity and whatnot. But who knows? Maybe they don't want to do it. Maybe they'll just plug them. But it seems like a bit of a waste. I mean, if the oil's there, they may as well use it, right? If it's already coming out of the ground, how hard can it be just to take it? I don't know. So let's see. How will Congress pay for this bill? So we're going to find out how Congress is going to pay for this $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill. So the legislation includes a multitude of measures to pay for the proposal, none of which would raise taxes. Wow. But while lawmakers claim the package pays for itself, the CBO score found it would instead add billions of dollars to the deficit over 10 years, and that many of the pay-for provisions would not raise as much money as Democrats said they would. This is an article from CNN, by the way. So the bottom line is that the legislation would directly add roughly $350 billion to the deficit when taking into account $90 billion of spending in new contract authority. Wow, so that's crazy stuff. $350 billion added to the deficit for this bill. But according to the text and a 57-page summary of the legislation, lawmakers leaned heavily on repurposing unused COVID-19 relief funds to pay for the legislation. The CBO found these measures would provide roughly $22 billion in savings rather than the roughly $263 billion claimed by lawmakers. Wow, I mean, crazy stuff. This is crazy stuff. So this is what passed in November. So we'll see what happens with it. We'll see if this bill ends up raising the deficit massively. I know we can check out what the federal debt is. Let's see what the national debt's looking like in real time. We do this sometimes. So let's see. The national debt in the US right now is $29,492,111 million. So look at that. It just keeps going up. We're getting scarily close to $30 trillion. Any moment we could be there. All in all, it's scary stuff. I'm not loving this massive amount of national debt that we've got, but we'll see. I mean, this infrastructure bill, they're saying, will only add $350 billion to the deficit. Okay, so be it. So be it. All in all, I am a much bigger fan of this bill, I would say, the infrastructure bill, than the Build Back Better bill. The infrastructure bill makes a decent amount of sense, right? We do. If there really is lead in the pipes, then we probably need to replace that. It makes sense to update the roads and bridges a little bit. I could see that making sense. The money for transit and rail, maybe. Broadband, I don't know. I mean, my internet seems all right. A lot of this, I mean, it's nice to modernize. It makes sense every couple of years to make a little bill like this potentially. I know it's $1.2 trillion, but it could make some sense to spend some money on it, but ideally that wouldn't be adding to the deficit. Ideally, we would figure out a way. Potentially, we would be in a surplus, tax-wise every couple of years. We would spend very little, hopefully tax very little as well. We'd be building up a surplus rather than be in a deficit every year. And then when we needed to, we could spend some of that money that the government had saved up on infrastructure. But it looks like they're going the opposite route. They're going to be in a little bit of a deficit every year. or rather a big deficit every year. And then when they do infrastructure bills like this, be in an even bigger deficit. So all in all, not the best plan probably from a fundamental perspective where the economy and the country could be headed, but it's how we're doing it. I mean, it's good to see, take out the debt while we can, I suppose. It's who knows how much longer will actually countries will actually be willing to lend to us. I mean, with all the debt that we've got out now. Though I will point out, I will show you guys the debt by countries. So let's see. No, not Wikipedia. So look at this. Oh, this is a cool one, actually. This is cool. So we are going to visualize the 69, look at that, $69 trillion worth of debt in one infographic. So unfortunately, this was only updated 2 years ago, so it's not quite up to date. We'll show an up-to-date one soon. But this is just a cool graphic showing, if the world was a pie, which countries have the largest share of the world's debt. So the United States obviously is number one. We've got 31% of the world's debt. Number two is Japan. They've got 17% of the world's debt, which is very scary because their GDP is much lower than ours, and their debt is actually 237% of their GDP. So scary stuff for Japan. Japan really is in a lot of debt. I'm not sure what their long-term plan is, but it can't be good being in that much debt. And China is in third place with 9.8% of the world's debt right there. So the United States still topping it out, number one debt-wise. And then there's some other countries that have some significant debt, right? Like France, United Kingdom, Germany, Italy. They've all got some debt. Canada has 2.2% of the world's debt. And this is all 2 years ago. So obviously, the debt has increased by quite a bit. Let's see. So fortunately, I will point this out. As of, when was this? This is October 31st of 2021 that this came out. If you look at debt to GDP ratio, the United States is not that bad. I mean, it's not great, Actually, it's not good. But I'll show you guys this. So it's not in the top 10, but it's still not good. So countries with the highest debt to GDP ratio. Venezuela, number one at 304%. 304% of their GDP is debt. And Japan, 256% debt to GDP. Sudan, 211%. Greece, 210%. Eritrea, now we're getting into some little sketchy countries like Eritrea, Suriname, Italy, not too small, but there we go. It's 157% debt to GDP. Lebanon, 154%. Barbados, 143%. But the scary thing is, all you have to do is scroll down a little bit, and then you get to number 13, and it's the United States at 132% debt to GDP. So the United States of America is considered to have one of the world's strongest economies, yet that doesn't negate the fact that it's always included in lists ranking countries by debt. The current debt outstanding is more than $28.42 trillion. The majority of that debt, or 78% to be exact, is owned by the public. The rest is intragovernmental. The debt to GDP ratio was highest after World War II, though it decreased steadily. However, after the 9/11 attacks, the government increased military spending. This logically caused a higher budget deficit. Then along came the Great Recession, which further increased the national debt. So that's what this story they have right here is on the national debt, at least on this website. That's what they're saying. So now, they probably need to do a COVID update and explain just how much debt got taken out during COVID to pay for all the stimulus. But we'll see. We'll see what they update. It looks like Sundial is actually pumping up a little bit. That's good to see. It looks like they very briefly dipped below 60 cents. They went actually to their lows of the trading day, right below 59 cents, and now they're back up above 60. So it's good to see. And Randy the Ape is pointing out that NEO is potentially breaking out soon. So let's pull up NEO, but it looks like Sundial just got to their highs of the trading day. So that's good. That's good to see. And NEO, it looks like they were up decently. They've been dipping during the trading day, but they're now moving up again alongside Sundial. We're seeing more volume coming in on Sundial. We're seeing highs of the trading day. So this could be a good moment for Sundial. Sundial might be coming through right here in a big way. Let's hope. Let's hope that Sundial starts to come through in a big way. And good morning, Brazil AA. Good morning, man. What's up? Welcome to the stream. It looks like we're getting a decent amount of people coming in here now. Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about. I think that you can say that on YouTube, I'm pretty sure. Anyways, let's pull up Reddit and just see what's going on. Let's see what we've got on Reddit. The number one trender on Reddit as of today is Tesla. Look at that, 781 mentions, 8,000 upvotes, up 573% mention-wise. Looks like Tesla's, you know what we forgot to do? We forgot to buy 10 shares of AMC this morning. That's what we forgot. When the market opened, I was so distracted by the opening bell. Let's buy up 10 more shares of AMC. What's been going on with AMC? Looks like it's at a decent price. It's $27.25. So buy up 10 right there. Let's show this to the camera. Let's find the camera. And Steve Carnan says TLRY. We'll definitely take a peek at TLRY. But there we go. We're about to buy up 10 more shares of AMC, bringing us to 80 shares. 80 shares in this account. So there we go. We're getting there. We're getting to our 100 share goal. So good to see it. But we got 10 more right there. Look at that. And TLRY. Let's see what TLRY's got going on. We will come back to Reddit most likely, but I will take a peek at TLRY. Someone's saying TLRY. Oh yeah, TLRY's doing good too. Look at that. Highs a day on TLRY also. Up 5% on the day. Sundial's up 4.5%. It looks like stuff is popping off for these cannabis talks. So let's move them down here. Sundial. TLRY. What else do we got? We got OGI. Let's see what that one. That one's up 3%. CGC Canopy Growth is up 4.5%. ACB Aurora Cannabis up 4.5%. Hexo up 3%. XXII down 0.65%. Look at that. But pretty much all the others are up. Why AMC, asks Civi? We've been buying up AMC for a while now. Look at AMC's chart for a second. We'll take a peek at AMC's chart. So we've got AMC. Let's pull up the year. So it looks like they ended up dipping towards the end of 2021. They moved down, but their base ended up buying them up, and some shorts ended up starting to cover. I think some shorts realized that they potentially have been pushing this thing down a little bit too far, considering how many people are massive fans of AMC. And we actually ended up getting a nice bounce off of $20. Potentially we'll be in an uptrend. We'll see what's going on with AMC over the course of this next year. I am honestly hoping it goes down a little bit. I would like to get it below 25. I think that we could see in this year of high inflation, it might be nice to have some money in some stocks that are not tied to the overall market, right? Not tied to the fundamentals. I would like to see, or at least to have, some stocks that are not tied to the fundamentals of the market. If we do start to see massive inflation, it could be good to have some of these movement-based stocks that people might just pour their money into without looking at, how much the company is making. And even if AMC feeders aren't doing too good, AMC stock has definitely been doing good since, if you look about a year ago, it's looking like they've about 10, 12, 13x or something like that. So we could see some more coming. So we'll see what happens with AMC. Overall, I think I'm up on the position. But we'll see what happens with it. So let's pull Sundial back up real quick. We're up 5% on Sundial now, so good stuff. Looks like we're seeing some more green on Sundial. I'm happy to see it. TLRY is also doing decently well. And Stand Up says, FYI, 10 shares of AMC equals 470 of Sundial. Wow. Wow. When you put it that way, I want to start grabbing up some more Sundial, honestly. That's maybe a better move. The only problem is I've got already such a high allocation of my overall portfolio in Sundial, and then I've got a bunch of other cannabis stocks too. Like I said, I believe in Sundial quite a bit, but I also have some rules about not having too much money of your overall portfolio, not too high of a percentage in one stock, because you never know if something goes horribly wrong and some news comes out that they've been keeping secret, just like, look at Evergrande as an example. You guys have heard of Evergrande. Now, obviously, Sundial seems to be in a much better cash position, right? They have no debts than Evergrande was. Evergrande was almost a sketchy Chinese developer, although they were the world's largest, or at least China's largest property developer. It looks like they just somehow hid all of this debt, or maybe people didn't pay attention to it. But I don't know how it got to the point where their shares are on halt because they're set to release insider information about all the debts. They have more than $300 billion in liabilities. But that just goes to show you, I mean, they were China's largest property developer, and you never know which stock is going to start just plummeting because of whatever strange catalyst comes out for them. So Vivi asks, DWAC. We'll definitely take a peek at DWAC. Now, I've been looking for DWAC, and it's looking like there hasn't been too much news for it, right? We're just waiting, essentially. I mean, the last thing that really happened was the merger with, or not the merger, but the partnership with Rumble. So, signing that streaming deal with CFVI, which I also like CFVI quite a bit. I think CFVI could be doing pretty good. But the last thing that we really heard from DWAC was that partnership with Rumble. So we'll see. I mean, it looks like Trump's taking his time, taking TMTG public with DWAC. But you know, it's not a bad situation necessarily, because if you look at the past, let's look at the past 90 days maybe. We've just been sitting between 50 and 55, which is a good price for it, right? I am not worried. I am not worried with DWAC above $50 per share. I'm very happy with that. You know, my trade on DWAC is selling those $50 puts. So as long as DWAC is above $50 by 2023, as long as it's above 50 by January 20th of 2023, so in about a year from now, a year and 17 days, I'll be making my full profit on DWAC. So I am not super worried about it. And obviously, if it falls lower, then I get the opportunity to scoop up some DWAC shares for around $15. So I'm not too worried about it whatsoever. Now, my hope is that there's a smooth transition from DWAC into TMTG, that they keep the price the same, that they don't change too much about it, right? That the options all keep the same strike prices and all that. I don't want them messing around, merging shares or splitting shares or anything like that. I'm very happy with it how it is. I think that $50 is a great support for them. They've held it pretty well. They did dip below very briefly for a period of time, but then at that point, 40 held pretty well. So I have a lot of faith in DWAC. I think that once we start seeing maybe the transition into TMTG happen, we could see some good price movement to the upside. Maybe that'll be an option or an opportunity to sell some more options on it. We'll see what happens. So let's see. MNMD I really like quite a bit. MNMD. I am excited about that one. MNMD. Looks like we're up 5% on the day, off to a great start to 2022. It looks like we closed 2021 right around $1.38 and are now at $1.46. So I'm happy to see it. I think that that's a great sign for MNMD. I think that they're probably going to be doing, they're obviously already doing pretty great research into psychedelics and how those can help people with experiential therapies. But, you know, we'll see a continuation of that, right? Like Kevin O'Leary has said, they're doing more studies than anyone else in the space, and that's why he's a fan of them. So I think we'll see MNMD doing pretty good, MindMed doing pretty good over the course of 2022. I think a lot of these small caps have just gotten destroyed in 2021. Hopefully today will be the day that we see a big reversal. Hopefully the small caps will start coming back. We'll start seeing them move up. That's my hope, at least. You never know for sure, but I think that 2022 could be a good tipping point when these small caps, if you look at the chart of MNMD, it tells the story perfectly. It's basically the same story for all of these small caps. They've just been, ever since earlier in the year, typically before June. Sometime before June, they were on their uptrends, and then ever since then, they've just been moving down and down and down. So overall, I think we are due for a big rally in these small caps. It looks like, if we take a look at the Russells, it looks like people would agree, because the Russells is up 1.6% on the day. So overall, the Russells is beating out the S&P. It's about 10 times. It's moved up about 10 times more than the S&P has percentage-wise over the course of 2022, which is just today, I'll admit. But I think the small caps could definitely be coming back in a big way in 2022. They've definitely been pushed down probably a lot further than they ought to have been. So we'll probably see these moving up, because if you look at this chart of the Russells, you'll notice that for pretty much all of 2021, it's been pretty stagnant, right? They haven't been moving all that much. It's been pretty stagnant ever since February on the Russells. There's just been some bouncing around. And then you look at the S&P, and it's just been this straight line up, essentially. You know, there have been a couple of dips, but for the most part, they've just been moving up. And Travis Brusso, we will be looking at SafeMoon in a minute, and Auto Codes says Lou vs. Wall Street said he will jump on Sundial after AMC. Nice. I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully he can bring some people in. I've not watched any of Lou vs. Wall Street, but I'm happy to hear it. So we're looking at a very green day, a great start to 2022. I'm very excited about it. A lot of these cannabis stocks are up. A lot of the small market cap stocks are up. In fact, the only one that we've got on our watch list that's down is Rivian. And then, of course, gold and silver are down big. What else is new, right? That's just a tale as old as time, despite all this inflation. And AutoCode says, congrats on 9K subs. Thank you, man. Thank you very much, actually. I pointed that out at the beginning of the stream that we finally got there. So I will admit the goal was to get to 10K by the end of 2021. But I think we did pretty darn good. I think that this was potentially a best case scenario based on, just what ended up happening towards the end of the year with a lot of these stocks. So I think we did pretty darn good. Overall, I am quite excited to see that we got to the 9,000 mark. So thank you guys very much. I appreciate you all very much. And in fact, I will point out that since the stream has begun, we've already climbed up to 9,006 subscribers. So we've gained 6 subscribers over the course of the stream. I appreciate you guys. Welcome anyone who's new. I appreciate you guys. And hopefully, by the end of 2022, AutoCode says you should have 100K. Maybe, man. Maybe. I think when I haven't quite set any goals for 2022 yet for any aspects of my life. But I will be doing that. I will be sitting down, right? I just got back, actually, from vacation late yesterday. I was out on a ski trip where we didn't ski at all. It was too warm weather. The weather was too warm. There was no skiing going on. So I didn't end up making it to the slopes on that trip, but it was still a very fun trip nevertheless for New Year's. So I did just get back, and I was gone over the weekend, so I haven't been able to sit down and really write down some goals, but that is something that I would recommend everyone do during the course of this year. I would recommend that you have some goals that you're working towards and that you actually know what they are, right? That you have them written down somewhere, that they're not just in your head and constantly changing, because once you write it down, it becomes very real, right? You can actually look at it every day if you have, depending on where you have it written down. If you keep it on potentially a vision board or something like that, I tend to just keep it in a document online on my to-do list. I have a separate tab that's goals for the year, right? To do for the year. So I have a list for that. And I have not yet written the 2022 list. We are 3 days in, and I will be writing that probably later today. There is a lot of other stuff that I should be taking care of today, but I will write that down at the very least. I will write down a couple of my goals, and I'll keep adding to it over the next couple of days. But that is something I think everyone would benefit from just taking, maybe when this stream ends in 15 minutes, when this stream ends at 10:30, take 10 minutes, sit down, think about what you would like to accomplish this year, and write it down somewhere where you're not going to lose it, where you just have it written down, and then you can be working towards a goal all of 2022. And I think you'll be a lot happier at the end of the year looking back on what you've accomplished if you end up taking the 10 minutes today to write down a couple of things that you'd like to accomplish. I think that when you're looking back in a year from now at what you've done in 2022, I think you'll be a lot happier having done that than not having done it. I think it could only help. Potentially, I'll admit that there's a situation where you might write this stuff down and forget about it and not look at it until the year ends and realize you haven't done any of it. That might happen, but it's a risk you got to take, right? Because if you don't try, then you're definitely not going to succeed. So I think at least you should take the chance and write it down, work towards something over the course of 2022. Do something. I tend to do it a couple of different ways. I like to work towards a financial/professional goal. I like to work towards a health goal, and I like to work towards a personal goal. So 3 areas really in my life that I'm working towards at any given time over any given year. And maybe that will change over time. Maybe I'll reach a peak in one area of my life, and I'll realize that I need to start putting some more work into another area. But Silver says debt reduction goal. I approve of that. But I think that it's good to have some balance in your life, right? You don't want all 3 of your goals to be build the business, grow the portfolio, and find a side hustle, right? Because then your life is not balanced at all. You're very focused on the money aspect, which is important, but there's other parts of being alive, right? You should have a health goal potentially, right? Because you don't want to be the richest man in the graveyard. You'd like to live a long time and be healthy. And, all the money in the world isn't going to help you if you have some incurable disease, or if you start getting old and you get diseases like arthritis. I mean, there are potentially some ways that money could help, but they couldn't really undo it completely. For that stuff, you just got to put in the time. You got to get to the gym. You got to do some kind of workout during the day. You got to get moving, because that, at the end of the day, in my opinion at least, is one of the best ways to stay healthy. You got to get yourself moving, hopefully every day, right? Hopefully you're doing something every day. It doesn't have to be huge, but maybe during the weekdays, here's how I do it. I'll say during the weekdays, I'll do something a little bit more intense. During the weekends, I don't necessarily have a demand that I do something super physically intense. If that's just not how the day ends up going, I don't hold myself to it on the weekends, because I think you need some balance, like I said, some time to relax. And if working out doesn't fit into the schedule, then it doesn't. But I think that's important, at least on the weekdays, that you do something for your body. So MJNA, I'll take a peek at real quick. It looks like MJNA is moving up on the day. I'm glad that I bought in to MJNA. I think I am, at least. Looks like it did dip a little bit more on New Year's Day. It got a little bit lower, but now it's back up. So MJNA is looking pretty good. But overall, just to cap off that, at the end of the stream, I'll try to remind you guys, write down some goals, do something, write it down somewhere where you're going to remember it, right? Don't just write it in some notepad and then close it and forget about it. But try to do those goals over the course of the year, right? Even if you don't get them fully completed, right? Like mine was to get 10K subs on YouTube. I got 9K. I'm still very happy about it. It's far more than I would have gotten had I not written it down and pursued that. So very excited for 2022. I expect that 2022 will actually be a great year for us. So Jordan Israel Peterson, Happy New Year's to you, man. Welcome to the stream. And I appreciate it. Good speech, he says. I appreciate that. So James Wood says, write this down. MJNA, 1 cent stock in the cannabis sector. Oh, yeah. James Wood, big fan of MJNA here. It is 1.8 cents, 1.89 cents at the moment. So we've got it on the screen in the bottom left. It's an over-the-counter stock. I believe I hold 100,000 shares of it, and average price of 1.82 cents. So I've made $63 on this one overall, and I've got 100,000 shares because it's so cheap that I can get 100,000 of them. It's 1 cent per share, 1.8 cents per share. So I've got 100K shares in that. It's only about $1,800. Because look at this. Look at what we've got going on with MJNA over the past year. The last time we had a big cannabis pump, it got up to 22 cents. So this one really does have the potential to run. It's run in the past. I think that we could see some good stuff coming from it in 2022 if we get legalization. It has actually, if you look at the max chart on this one, I will point out that it's reached a pit around 2 cents many times. So I am pretty bullish on this one for the long term. I think that we'll probably see it bounce off of this level. I don't see us getting too much lower than 2 cents. It seems like pretty much every time we hit 2 cents, we bounce up in a big way and get up fairly high. So look at that. Look at that. In the past, the highest we've gotten is $1.20. I don't know if we'll get up there. We'll see. We could. But that's the highest we've ever gotten. Absolutely. So it looks like it was really just one day. It might be a little bit of a glitch on the chart, honestly. But all in all, I'm looking forward to MJNA potentially moving up over the course of the year. So we'll see what happens with it. I'm a little bit more bullish on Sundial, right? Sundial has potentially a better balance sheet than MJNA, but we'll see what happens, right? Sundial's seeing some volatility. It's bouncing up, bouncing down. We're still up 3% on the day. A lot of these cannabis stocks are seeing some volatility. It looks like TLRY is let's take a peek at the day. It looks like we moved up big. Now we're taking a little bit of a breather, coming back down to 735. We'll see what happens. James Wood owns 5 million MJNA. That's awesome, man. You only need one big pump and then you're rich, bro. That's awesome. That's really cool. 5 million of this. Whew. 50 times more than what I've got in MJNA. Look at that. And you're going for 5 to 10 million. Maybe you can get there in time. Maybe you can. If it starts getting too expensive, maybe you want to sell out. I'm not sure exactly what price I'd be selling MJNA at. I'd probably want it to definitely more than double, right? It depends on the catalyst we've got going. If it just pumps up, say if it pumped up today for no real reason, I'd probably sell out if at like 4 or 5 cents or something like that, if there's no real reason for the pump. But if we were looking at legalization, I'd definitely be holding it for a bit longer. I'd probably want it to get to 20 cents if we were looking at legalization. So we'll see. And Vivi says, Embraer SA, EJR, and Joby partnership. That's right. Someone was asking about Joby stock. So Vivi, could you look at Joby, please? Yes, absolutely. JOBY. Joby Aviation, is that the one? ERJ, maybe it's ERJ. Let's see. Embraer SA. Okay, so here's Embraer SA. So let's see. Their price target has been raised recently to $31, where it was at $29 by JP Morgan. So JP Morgan's the one that doesn't like Tesla. And let's see. Let's see what we've got. Partnership. JOBY. Let's see if we've got anything there. Let's see. Joby Aviation. So, board of purchase of shares. Expected to announce measures to address the COVID-19 Omicron variant, which has driven market volatility. All right. Oh, that's Biden. Biden's expected to do that. Let's see. Is this one? Is this merging with somebody? Let's see. Let's pull up ERJ. Let's see if there's something here on Yahoo Finance. Let's see. Well, I'm not quite sure what the news on this one is, but Embraer and Joby partnership. I'm looking for it. It doesn't look like it's the most obvious news, if I'm looking at the right stock here, but I'm not seeing anything about a partnership on Yahoo Finance. Let's see. Maybe this will have it, but let's see. So, Embraer continues to witness good demand for E-jets across the globe. Order flow from the products remain robust. Strong solvency position and favorable financial ratios. Ongoing project, commercial aviation. Embraer has expected earnings growth rate of more than 100% for the next year. Look at that. So, potentially Embraer is a good one. Look at that. ERJ. So, yeah, Embraer SA. So, it's an E-jet company, an electric jet company. You know, it's interesting. I was watching an Elon Musk, Joe Rogan interview. And unfortunately, I think there was some joke in there where Elon said that if he tried working on electric jets, his brain would explode just because he's been doing so much already. He's been doing the boring company, SpaceX, Tesla. So we'll see what happens with these electric jets, right? Elon's not working on them, but it would definitely be cool to get some going. I would definitely be a fan of jets that don't need as much fuel, that you could potentially. I know they have some that have solar panels on them, I believe, but I don't know if that would be a real possibility for bigger jets that are moving a lot of weight or a lot of luggage. It could be interesting, though. I'd be happy to see some more renewable forms of fuel being used in jets. So electricity sounds good to me. I mean, electric jet companies sound promising, but I would keep in mind that this is probably very early in their stages of development. I don't know what their jets actually look like or how well developed they are. If they have if there's one that has a big lead above the others, they could be doing good. If they're partnering together, then that's certainly good news for them. So this is a potentially very cool area to be invested in. But I would keep in mind that something Elon Musk has been talking about is getting rockets that just take people across the world in like 45 minutes. You could go from New York to China. So we'll see. We'll see what role these jets play. I mean, it may be that we're trying to, make a form of transportation that might not be too prevalent in the next like 20 years. I mean, it could definitely go up over the next little bit, but who knows? Who knows what'll happen? And Travis Brusso says, how does electricity produce thrust? Electric afterburners? I have no idea. I just saw that they were an E-jet company, so I've not heard of this company before just now, but we'll see what happens. E-jets. I mean, maybe it's maybe it's like a mostly electric jet. I really don't know. But cool stuff. Cool stuff. They could definitely be doing really well. Who knows? Who knows, though? So I will pull out the market map real quick. We'll pull it up right here just to see what's going on. It looks like all the financials are doing pretty darn good. The banks, the credit services, the insurance, the capital markets, the regional banks, asset management, they're all doing pretty good. Energy, oil and gas is up big. Tesla's up massively, up 9% on the day. Telecom services doing decently. Apple's doing great. However, Microsoft and software are falling a little bit. It looks like Oracle, Adobe, Microsoft, Google's falling a little bit. Amazon is pretty stagnant. Facebook is up a little bit. They're up 1%. Nvidia is doing well. Intel is doing decently. AMD is doing decently. But all in all, a decent chunk of the market is red, right? Healthcare is red. Consumer defensive is red. Real estate's red. Footwear is red. So Nike's not doing great. But a lot of these stocks, biotech, drug manufacturers, medical, they're a little red. So it's strange to see. I mean, the S&P is still green on the day. I'll pull it up here, but the S&P has been recovering, but there has been some volatility for sure. It seems like some of the biggest gainers are actually the small market cap stocks, because if you look, the S&P is on the bottom right here. IWM, or the Russell's 2000, which tracks smaller market cap companies, 2,000 smaller market cap companies, is actually up far more than the S&P. It's up 1.8%. The S&P is up 0.35%. So we're looking at a much bigger gain on IWM than we are on the S&P. And that is actually epitomizing a trend that I think we could continue to see over the course of 2022, because the S&P, if you look at the yearly chart, we'll pull these both up here, has been doing incredibly well over the course of 2021. It's basically just been a straight line up. IWM, on the other hand, rose up in February, rose up during January and February, and then it basically just stagnated. So we'll see if we can get a continued rally for IWM with the Russells, with these smaller market cap stocks that a lot of us are likely invested in over the course of 2022. That's my hope, at least. That's my expectation. We'll see if it actually happens. The S&P, it'll probably continue to rise as well. I mean, we might get a little bit of a crash with this Omicron stuff. The Omicron variant is producing a bit of a threat for people, right? There are some airline closures that have happened. About 10% of capacity has been closing on a lot of different airlines. We've seen the CDC warn not to go on cruise lines, even if you're fully vaccinated, they said. So we'll see what happens with these stocks, with a lot of the recovery stocks that people were expecting would be doing pretty good now that a lot of people thought the pandemic was pretty much over. But we've looked at the case counts, and we know that the cases are higher than ever before. Fortunately, deaths are not. So we've been looking at higher case counts than ever before. Who knows what's going to happen with that if there are going to be some more restrictions put in place, especially after New Year's. I mean, we haven't had any data come in from post-New Year's. We might see a lot of positive tests coming in over the next couple of days, right after the big parties that people were throwing on New Year's. I mean, it could be a good opportunity. You know, if everyone gets immunity from it, then we might see cases subside if everyone ends up just getting it on New Year's, and then that's the end of the whole thing. If enough people got immunity over the weekend, probably won't be the case, but we'll see. It's always a possibility, but it's looking like we're at 10:30. So this was the first day of 2022, the first day of the stream of 2022. So thank you guys for joining me. It was very fun. Once again, we hit that huge milestone, 9,000 subscribers. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. It's great hanging out here in the mornings, just talking stocks, hanging out, looking at the markets for the first hour and a half. It definitely starts the day off right. Hopefully y'all have some kind of morning beverage, tea, coffee. I've been doing tea lately, but we'll see what we do tomorrow. So other than that, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. I'm looking forward to 2022. It's looking like we're going to see a pretty green year this year. I'm really looking forward to all of these gains that have hopefully just been building up over the course of 2021, just holding themselves in like a beach ball underwater, ready to explode. So that's what I'm looking forward to in 2022. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good day. Have a great beginning of 2022. And don't forget to write down a couple of things that you want to accomplish this year if you haven't done it already. That's what I'm about to go do. I'm about to go make a little list of things I want to get done in 2022, some goals that I've got. So you guys should potentially do the same if you wish. But other than that, have a great day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.